They told you to dream big, but they never warned you what it would cost. Are you willing to pay the price for greatness? In this video, we're diving into the brutal reality behind every great achievement, the sacrifices no one talks about. If you're serious about success, if you're tired of sugar-coated motivation, stay with me. This is the truth they never taught you. Every dream, no matter how beautiful or grand, comes with a price tag. And that price is never monetary. It is spiritual, emotional, and psychological. Greatness is not bought. It is earned. And the currency we use is sacrifice. Most people chase success with the belief that they can simply work hard, stay consistent, and arrive. But what they rarely prepare for, what no one really tells them, is that success is far less about effort and far more about what you're willing to give up. There is an unseen toll on every road to greatness. It demands that you surrender comfort, familiarity, and sometimes even relationships that no longer align with your purpose. It asks you to trade nights out for lonely evenings of focus, to exchange quick dopamine hits for the delayed gratification of mastery. That's the cost. And yet the vast majority hesitate to pay it. They cling to convenience, craving success on their own terms that don't interrupt their comfort zone. But the truth is, if your dream doesn't cost you something you value today, it probably won't change you tomorrow. You cannot remain the same and simultaneously become more. Greatness is evolution, and evolution requires letting go. You must release the lower version of yourself to ascend to the higher. That process isn't glamorous, it's gritty. It's waking up at 5 a.m. when your body begs for sleep. It's working while others relax. It's choosing purpose over pleasure repeatedly until the sacrifice becomes a lifestyle. You've often found that people romanticize sacrifice until it becomes real. They love the idea of discipline, the sound of commitment, but they recoil when they face the real thing. The dull ache of repetition, the boredom of routine, the isolation of an uncommon path. That's the moment when most dreams die, not because they're impossible, but because the dreamer hoped to reach the summit without enduring the climb. But no mountain respects your intentions. It only respects what you're willing to give. And here lies the core dilemma. The world trains us to seek comfort, but greatness demands the opposite. We're conditioned to chase ease, convenience, and speed. But the truth is, everything worthwhile is on the other side of inconvenience. That book you've been meaning to write, it lives beyond your fear of rejection. That business you keep talking about, it waits behind your willingness to go broke learning. That better version of yourself, it begins the moment you stop negotiating with your excuses. You will never meet your higher self at ground level. You will meet them at the edge, on the ledge of discomfort, sacrifice, and unwavering belief. You will meet them after giving up the party, the sleep, the scrolling, and the validation, not because those things are evil, but because they are distractions. And greatness is not distracted. It is focused, intentional, and willing to bleed for what it believes in. So let me ask you this: what have you given up for your dream? Not what have you wished for, not what have you talked about, but what have you willingly placed on the altar of ambition and said, I don't need this if it keeps me from my purpose. Because in the end, sacrifice is the ultimate form of commitment. It is proof to the universe, and more importantly, to yourself, that you are serious, that you are ready, that you are not hoping or waiting, but becoming. And that right there is a secret most never hear. Greatness doesn't just require hard work. It requires an exchange. You give something now so that your future self can receive more. And the more precious the sacrifice, the more powerful the transformation. So remember this: the dream is real, but so is the price. And only those willing to pay it in full, without shortcuts, without excuses, will ever truly own it. Everyone wants success until they understand the loneliness it often demands. We live in a world obsessed with visibility, followers, likes, attention, but the truth is, the foundation of all greatness is built in silence, in solitude. When you decide to pursue something extraordinary, something beyond average, you are by default stepping into unfamiliar terrain. And in that terrain, very few can walk beside you, because greatness is not a group activity. It's an individual contract between your vision and your willingness to endure what others won't. When you choose to rise above mediocrity, you immediately distance yourself from comfort-driven circles. It isn't personal, it's energetic. Your hunger disrupts their complacency. Your growth reminds them of their stagnation. And so some will distance themselves from you. Others will mock your seriousness. Some will even try to guilt you into returning to the old version of yourself, the one that didn't make them uncomfortable. This is where the real test begins. Because we are by nature tribal beings, we crave connection, validation, approval. And the very thing that fuels our humanity becomes a trap when we let it govern our dreams. You cannot pursue greatness and expect to be understood by everyone. In fact, if everyone understands your journey, you're probably not dreaming big enough. There is a quiet period that every visionary creator and leader goes through. A season where it feels like no one sees you, no one gets it, and no one is clapping. That season is not punishment, it is preparation. The silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. It's where your character forms, where your habits solidify, where your purpose either deepens or dissolves. But here's what makes that silence so difficult. It exposes everything without applause. You learn if you're truly committed without support. You learn whether you're doing it for the mission asan or for the attention. Without guidance, you discover if you trust your own intuition. Solitude then becomes your greatest teacher, not because it comforts you, but because it reveals you. And yet most people run from this stage. They can't handle the absence of noise, so they return to the crowd. They shrink their ambition to fit the room rather than expanding themselves to match the dream. They trade evolution for acceptance. What they don't realize is that the isolation isn't a wall, it's a door. And only those willing to walk through it earn the right to impact others. Because you cannot lead the world if you are still chained by its approval. Every breakthrough, every legacy, every movement that ever mattered began in obscurity. It was shaped in the shadows, in the places no one saw, no one praised, no one believed in. That is the sacred space of transformation. That is where the dream either dies or takes root. And your ability to remain there, to hold your vision in the absence of validation, is what separates the wishers from the warriors. Think of any figure who achieved something extraordinary. An inventor, an artist, a leader. They all passed through this crucible of solitude. They all wrestled with doubt, with ridicule, with long seasons of unseen labor, but they stayed, they kept showing up. Not because they had a crowd cheering top, but because they had a purpose burning, and that purpose was louder than the silence. So if you find yourself alone right now, misunderstood, perhaps even doubted, by the very people you thought would support, you understand this, you're not on the wrong path, you're on the real one. The one few are willing to take, the one that doesn't promise ease, but guarantees growth. Stay with it. The world may not clap now, but one day they will look back at your journey and call it wisdom. They will study what you built and wonder how you endured. And the answer will not be found in noise, but in the silence you embraced. So I leave you with this truth. The higher your calling, the quieter the path. Don't fear the silence, become powerful in it.